What's up everyone? So I'm not going to waste any time because I am extremely excited. PlayStation was nice enough to send over a free advanced copy of their new Spider-Man game that releases this Friday, September 7th. They sent it to me this past Friday, so I was able to play it over the weekend and give you guys my spoiler-free thoughts on the game. So again, this is going to be a spoiler-free review as the mass public won't be able to play this game until this Friday. And also because I'm under an embargo, but that's neither here nor there. I do have two caveats before I get into my review though. One, I am not by any means a gamer, nor do I consider myself one. I probably only play like 2 or 3 games a year, and it's usually only superhero-based games, and maybe a fighting game here and there. So I just want to say, forgive me up front if I use any of the wrong gamer lingo or anything of the sort, because again, I'm just a very casual video game player. And finally, number 2, I haven't beaten the game as of shooting this video. I've only completed around 70%, but I think that's way more than enough to give you guys a solid opinion on said game. With that said, let's start with how good this game looks. It looks fantastic. I was actually born in New York and my father was a cop there for 12 years. My mom was born there and raised in Queens, so I've seen quite a bit of New York growing up, and this is a near perfect interpretation of it. Now what makes that so great is that it makes roaming the city as Spider-Man, specifically web swinging, freaking amazing. And yes, the Spider-Man puns are gonna happen all episode long. You're welcome. Again, I've already played like 70% of the game, and still one of the coolest things, I personally think at least, is web swinging. Like, you 100% feel like Spider-Man swinging through New York. He even does all those cool flippies and Spider-Man poses in the air between swings, like he does in the movies and comic books. You could even find the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, and climb them and then swing off of them. It's fantastic. You could even swing through Central Park. And again, the map in the world they created for the Spider-Man game is massive. It feels like you're literally in New York City. It's so big I haven't even put a dent in exploring the whole city yet. But now let's move on to gameplay and story, as those are the two things that make or break a video game. The gameplay is sensational. That's two. The way you shoot webs and fight and have to do certain things and dodges and attacks, it's just all really well done. There's even lots of puzzles and investigating type stuff that you have to do and figure out in order to progress in the story. So for someone just starting to play the game, you especially don't want to just keep pressing X and click through everything, because a lot of the time they're telling you how to do certain things. There's also a wide array of Spider-Man suits you can acquire. Now I'm not going to tell you which suits those are, because quite honestly, I don't know which ones I am or am not allowed to say. But I do think it's safe to say any of the really popular Spider-Man suits from the comics or movies you would want to play in are in the game. I know several of my favorites are, so run with that as you wish. Also, you could gain and buy new skills for Spider-Man and even gadgets like electric webs, spider drones, etc. with tokens you acquire by playing and doing certain things in the game. To be honest, it's pretty in-depth, all the things you could buy for Spider-Man and the skills you could acquire, and just all the things you can customize in general. But now let's move on to the story. The story is really good. Spider-Man has been Spider-Man for years right from the start, so it's not like this is an origin story or anything like that. With that said, I don't think you guys want me to spoil the story for you. You just want to know whether I think it's good or not. And it is definitely good. It literally just feels like you're playing a Spider-Man animated movie. You get almost all the fan favorite Spider-Man villains like Kingpin, Shocker, Rhino, Vulture, Scorpion, Mr. Negative, and the list goes on. You even get to play as certain characters that we had no idea were in the game. And when I saw I got to play as that person, I got extremely excited. There's one in particular that you guys are gonna flip about, but again, my lips are sealed. There's also a ton of non-playable cameos of Spider-Man and Marvel characters as well. And let me tell you, there's some spectacular ones. That's 3. But remember, I haven't beaten the game yet, so I can't give my opinion on the full story. But the 70% of the story I did play so far has been great. In a nutshell, the best way to sum up this game is by saying it's pretty much the Arkham games, but for Spider-Man. Like all the way around, the gameplay, the story layout, how free the world is, etc. Which isn't a bad thing, that's a great compliment. Everyone loves those games. Just like in the Arkham games, you have to sneak up on certain enemies and take them down silently before you're spotted by others who want to kill you. But now let's bring you to the stuff I didn't like about the game, because no game, movie, or comic, or anything for that matter, is ever 100% perfect. With saying that, I only have one major gripe, and that's with some of the missions and things you have to do from time to time, at least for me, was a bit too vague. For example, I spent like 30 minutes looking for a backpack because I wasn't sure exactly what I was supposed to do. Making stuff like that a little more evident would be better. Again, that could just be me, but nonetheless, that's why it's my complaint. Other than that, I really enjoyed the heck out of this video game. I would say it's actually one of my favorite games in the last several years. Now, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I really only play superhero-based video games, so maybe I should preference that by saying it's one of the best superhero-based games to come out in the last several years. And for me, it's up there with the likes of the Arkham games, as again, I feel like this is just Spider-Man's version of those games, which is excellent. This Spider-Man game is easily superior over any Spider-Man game that's ever been made. That is number 4, people. So if you were like me and finally waiting for someone to make a Spider-Man game right and so astonishing, you didn't think I'd do 2 that close together, did you? That's number 5, and that's gonna bring us home. Then your prayers have finally been answered because Sony, PlayStation, and Insomniac Games did a fantastic job with this game. So I highly recommend you pick it up this Friday, September 7th, especially if you're a fan of Spider-Man. You'd be crazy not to. But with that said, I just wanted to say thank you to Sony and PlayStation one more time for sending us an advanced copy to give you guys an early review. First up for Wednesday, September 5th, we have Old Man Logan Annual 1. If you love Old Man Logan and the Punisher, you need to check out this issue. Next, we have Silver Surfer Annual 1. In this issue, we get an untold story of the dark and tragic past of the Silver Surfer. Here we have Justice League issue 7. This series has been fantastic thus far, which isn't shocking as it's written by Scott Snyder. And finally, we have Batman issue 54. Dick Grayson, the original Robin, gets to spend some quality time fighting crime with his mentor, for the first time since Batman popped the question to Catwoman. But as always, remember to check out our website, variantcomics.com. Link for that is in the description below, as well as all of our social media. Links for those are also in the description. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.